Brighton take on Tottenham this weekend. That's third against fourth in the Premier League. Brighton have been the surprise package so far. Have you been impressed by them, Kweku?
Yeah, I've been very impressed by Brighton. Obviously, De Zerbi comes with a different style of play to Graham Potter. And he approached the first game against Liverpool with if it's not broke, don't fix it approach. His manager has ordinarily employed a 4-2-3-1 formation. He started with a 3 at back against Liverpool. And it worked. We saw them blitz Liverpool for the first 20 minutes. But what they did do is they left themselves open. And if you're a team that's got aspirations of some Brighton fans in terms of qualify from European places, you can't be letting that lead slip. But objectively, at the beginning of the season, if you were to ask Brighton going to Anfield, do you take a draw? They'd say yes. Yeah. So I've been impressed with what De Zerbi's done in his first game as a Brighton manager. But I feel like the style of play is a little bit too open. If they go against the better teams in the Premier League, they could be in big trouble.
Brighton, I think, are a really enjoyable team to watch in the Premier League. And as a QPR fan, give me hope. Because I think when you go up, I'm always intrigued that do you go down this very physical route that teams have done when they've gone up to stay up and then build, or do you try and play football? And Brighton have kind of done both. They did the first part of it with Chris Hughes and then changed with Potter. The change then with De Zerbi, is it a move forward, or what will be the big changes when it comes to Potter and De Zerbi?
It's such an interesting one. Must be interesting for the Brighton fans at the moment, because what to make of it all, right? Because you don't need to take a step forward if you're a Brighton fan. I mean, you were top 4 in the Premier League, your manager leaves. Honestly, consistency would be fine. Like, you would take staying where Graham Potter took you to, right?
Are they punching above their weight at this moment in time? Is this their 5 minutes of fame and then they start to lose 5 or 6 games and they're a mid-table team again?
It's not their 5 minutes of fame. I think they know that things are going to go up and down. It's going to be a bit of a roller coaster in the Premier League because they're Brighton. You look at Leicester City right now, huge investment, great players that they had, top 5 finishes 2 seasons in a row, winning an FA Cup. But they know that their club, and Brighton will know that their club as well, you can't just consistently stay punching above your weight. And
Wolves,
I think actually...
Wolves as well.
Yeah, Wolves as well. I think it is difficult unless you've got that golden pot of money to stay consistently up there. What you want is consistency from your side, a team that tries to play good football. You want the recruitment at your club to be really good. You want young players to come through the academy. This is what we want as fans. And Brighton have virtually all of those things. So you'd be very happy at the moment. Changing manager is a big, big decision for a club like Brighton because it still goes one of 2 ways. At the start of a season, as good as they played under Graham Potter, if you said to the Brighton fans, if you finish 6 places above the bottom of the Premier, 14th in the league, would you be surprised? They'd be like, not really, because even though we try and play with a brand of football, we know we've got players in our team that are maybe playing above their skill set, and they are performing above their skill set. And if they have a bad season, the team could have a bad run. It's that simple. The goalkeeper, one of our centre halves, we might have a couple of injuries. Yeah. They know that, right? It can go one of 2 ways. So at the moment, you're content. What you want is a manager who I think Graham Potter would have been loved by the Brighton fans, will continue some of what he did. The football's been fantastic. They've had some amazing results. I just think De Zerbi is just like that guy, okay, who's meeting this girl that he's dating's friends for the first time.
I'm listening.
And he's just trying to impress us a little bit. And I'm just like, guys, wheel it back in.
Just turn it down a bit.
Just turn it down a little bit. Just doing a little bit too much
for
me, right? Let me tell you, Brighton had a sensibility and a pragmatism under Graham Potter. They knew who they were, right? That's all I'm going to say. They knew who they were. And that meant that they didn't risk as much. They didn't risk everything to get results. And De Zerbi wants to bring that element of we can attack more. We can bring a little bit more into this. And I'm just kind of like, yes, if it all goes well, you're going to have some fantastic performances and results. But 2-0 up at Anfield against a Liverpool side not playing great, was that the time to just turn the volume down a little bit, mate? See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You've gone out there, you've got something, hold on to it. If the long term, exactly, if the long term is more about the risk, more about the scoring goals than the pragmatism at the back, I think they could find it, I'd say, difficult's the wrong thing to say, but they might not get some of those sensible results that maybe Graham Potter did.
The Kweku index finger went up there halfway through what Hugh was saying. Why on earth did it rise?
Because, of course, Graham Potter is the manager of Chelsea.
Could I see it again? For anyone who missed it.
He's the manager of Chelsea, done a fantastic job at Brighton. But let's not forget and raise the fact that in November of last season against Leeds, Brighton fans were booing the ponderous football that they were seeing.
That's one of the most iconic clips I've ever seen of Graham Potter, where he turns and goes,
he just couldn't believe it. So
amazing.
this is it's like, be careful what you wish for. De Zerbi's going to employ a much more attacking style of football, and it's going to be laden with risk. And is that a risk you're willing to take if you're Brighton? You probably would calculate that you've got enough points on the board to not be in serious trouble come the back end of the season.
Yeah.
But this is what Brighton fans have wanted. I know Graham Potter was a great manager for them, and he will go down in Brighton folklore for what he did for that team and that club. But De Zerbi is bringing the style of football that Brighton fans have been crying out for. So it'll be interesting to see if he continues the way he did against Liverpool, because that was kamikaze football, and you saw Trossard, you saw Gross pick up those half spaces that make it very difficult for those centre backs for Liverpool, those top teams, to really pick up and come into those spaces. But I don't know if they can do that consistently for a 38 game Premier League season.
I think when you're I was chatting to someone about this the other day. So anyone outside of the big six, or greedy six as some people call them, could go, if everything goes well, where could you finish? They'd go 7th. And if it goes badly, 16th, 17th,
Yeah.
Every single team. And I think Brighton are the same. And so I think there's two ways of looking at De Zerbi, because I think you can go with the 3-4-2-1, and you're saying kamikaze football, which turns into a 3-3-4. It's attacking, but I think the mindset of it's more attacking than Potter.
Yeah.
The actual formation's not that different to what Potter was doing, and that's what they said when they brought him in, that it was going to be, the succession was a very good cultural fit. So for me, I look at them and I think what I do like and what I didn't expect was, when we're talking about the likes of Pascal Gross, Trossard, Welbeck, normally when you're talking about these teams who have that momentum and go on and do a great thing in a season, they all get like picked off. I don't think these guys get picked off like they would do normally. So I mean, I'm intrigued to know. My question then becomes, are these guys who weren't as good as this for the last 3 or 4 seasons, are they just now reaching their potential, or are they just running way too hot at this moment in time? And do you think Brighton have a legitimate chance of finishing in the top 4 this year?
I don't. I think the resources of the clubs that they'll be challenging, it's just too vast. Like you say, you call them the greedy six, but they have got infinite resources to outspend the club like Brighton. So say it gets to January and Brighton are still in and around it, these clubs that maybe are fighting for these top 6 or top 4 places can go again, whereas Brighton can't. I love Danny Welbeck. He's leading the line for Brighton right now, and that kind of tells you where they are. A team like Tottenham, who are maybe looking over their shoulder, have Harry Kane and Heung-min Son leading the line for them. So that just shows you the disparity, the difference. Cristiano Ronaldo sits on the bench for Manchester United, a team that want to be challenging for the same places that apparently if Brighton wanted to be challenging the top 6, they're going to be challenging the likes of Manchester United. So I feel like maybe you need to hold the horses in terms of Brighton challenge for a top 6 place, but they can look at a 6th or a 7th or 8th place finish in the Premier League as a very, very good season for themselves.
It feels a bit like Wolves, a bit like West Ham last year, doesn't it? I think it's one where I think at this moment in time, when you've played 8 games, there is no expectation. So enjoy the momentum of it all. I think when we get to sort of February, March, that's where those better squads deal with their expectation and don't tense up. And I agree with you. I've got to say, I think the one thing about the handbrake or the volume being higher when it comes to De Zerbi is that could maybe push through some of that, and if they're able to keep it going, allow you a couple of more weeks or months to sort of get over the line to get into a top 6 or something like that. But either way, it's great stuff for Brighton this moment in time. How does it all end with De Zerbi this season? Do you think he will go from strength to strength? Do you think they'll be fine? They've been a very stable club, haven't they?
I think they'll probably finish in the top 8. I just think the quality of the football there, we've seen it. The foundations that were laid by Graham Potter are very, very good. You've got a settled squad. You've got players that are happy. What I would say is it's just in that, it just feels a little bit in that school of sort of Marcelo Bielsa in terms of risk and reward. When it all clicks, looks absolutely sensational. When it doesn't, they might get hammered a few times. Does that change the mindset? If I was a Brighton fan, I'd be delighted right now. So I don't want to rain on their parade, but I just want De Zerbi, like I said, to reel it back a little bit. That sense of realism, that sense of pragmatism is what got Brighton here. So in a way, I'm kind of like, that's the culture of the football club, and it's important the manager understands that.
Yeah, I think there's I'll watch his first press conference. He said he wants to play bold and brave and risky football, and it feels like there's inevitability there where the ride is going to be incredible, but I'm not too sure if there's longevity in it, just because there needs to be some realism in terms of where Brighton are in comparison to the biggest teams in the Premier League. So it's going to be exciting. The season's going to be amazing watching De Zerbi at the helm of Brighton, but I just don't know how sustainable it is with the quality of players that they've got.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.